Hello everyone. You're welcome back to Football Signal HQ. I remain your humble host, Mayowa Adigeye. You can call me the football juggernaut. We've seen about 5 days of football at the World Cup, and we've witnessed some really exciting and interesting games. The heavy scoreline are also back. We saw Germany defeat Minos and debutant Curacao by 7 goals to 1. And this is not the first time that Germany is going to be defeating a team by a very wide margin at the World Cup. In the World Cup in Korea and Japan in 2002, they defeated Saudi Arabia 8 goals to 0. Also in 2014, they spanked Brazil in the semi-final of the World Cup 7 goals to 1. So Germany generally are not new to beating teams by a very wide margin at the World Cup. We also saw Sweden defeat Tunisia by 5 goals to 1. That was actually a very surprising game for me. I expected Sweden to win that game, but not by that much of a margin. And I still expect to see much more big defeats, every scoreline in this World Cup as more games unfold. Looking at African teams at this World Cup, we saw South Africa lose to Mexico. We saw Tunisia also lose now to Sweden. But some other African teams have actually been having a very good showing and outing at this World Cup. We saw Morocco play a very good game against Brazil, and that game ended in a 1-1 draw. Capo Verde also played Spain to a goalless draw in that very spirited game, spirited encounter, with their goalkeeper being one of their best players on the goalkeeper for Cabo Verde being one of the best players on the field in that game. We saw Ivory Coast play Ecuador, and they were victorious in that game 1 goals to 0. So some African teams have actually been doing well and holding their own in this World Cup. Today I'm going to preview one of the most important games in Group I. Group I has France, Senegal, Iraq and Norway. France and Senegal are two of the biggest teams in that group, and they are going to be opening the games in that group tomorrow. France vs Senegal reminds us of the opener of the World Cup in 2002, which is the last time these two teams met each other in a competitive game. France-Senegal. So what does the head-to-head between these two teams look like? They've met each other 3 times, 2 in a friendly and 1 in a competitive game, which is the opener of the competition in 2002. And that edition of the World Cup that France and Senegal opened, it was actually quite exciting because Senegal were debutants in that edition of the World Cup. The first time Senegal played at the World Cup was in 2002. And generally, Senegal has been to 4 World Cup. This edition in 2026 is their 4th time of qualifying for a FIFA World Cup, while France have been to 17 edition of the World Cup, winning it twice. Senegal have only ever gone to the quarterfinal stage of the World Cup, which was when they made their debut in the competition in 2002. All the other times they've made it to the World Cup, they've not really gone as far as the quarterfinals like they did in 2002. And looking at the teams that played for these 2 times in that game in 2002, for France, they were coached by Roger Lemaire in that competition. And in that game, they had Fabian Barthez in goal. They had Bizente Lizarazu and William Thuram. They had Marcel Desailly and Lebeoff playing them centre back for them. They had a double pivot of Petit and Patrick Vieira. They had Thierry Henry, Sylvain Wiltord, Yuri Jokaev, and they had David Trezeguet leading the line for them. For Senegal, it was Tony Silva. It was Ferdinand. They had Tony Silva, Ferdinand Coly, Lamine Diatta, Malik Pape Thiaw, Omar Daf, and Aliou Cisse, who later went on to coach the team and was successful with that team. So it was the one standing in front of the defense. We had Diatta, we had Papa Bouba Diop, who was the one who got the lone goal that Senegal defeated France with. So he was playing right in front of Aliou Cisse. So I'll take that once again. So we had Diatta, we had Papa Bouba Diop, we had Salif Diao, Kalilou Fadiga, and Elhadji Diouf in that game. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Senegal. Senegal went on to make the quarterfinal of that World Cup, eventually losing to Turkey at the extra time through a goal scored by Elan. France, on the other hand, did not even make it out of the group. That group also had Denmark and Uruguay, and France did not make it out of the group. It was Senegal and Denmark that made it out of that group. Now we have a repeat fixture in 2026. France and Senegal are going to be opening their World Cup their World Cup 2026 game, playing each other. So I've talked about the head-to-head between these two teams. Let's look at their most recent form as well. In their last 5 games, the French team have won 4, they drew 1, 4, they lost 1, and that loss came in a friendly that they played with Ivory Coast. Looking at Senegal, on the other hand, they've won 2, they lost 2, they drew 1. Their last game was a draw against Saudi Arabia, and they had a loss in a 3-2 loss against the United States of America. So we can say that the Senegalese team of late have not been really on form. 1 loss, 1 draw in their last 2 games, compared to the French team who had a win against Northern Ireland, where Michael Olise scored a hat-trick, and they also lost to the Ivorian side. So we can say, okay, I mean, they both tasted the loss in their last 2 games, France to Ivory Coast, Senegal to United States. So maybe we can expect an even game between these two teams, although I expect the French firepower to be too much for the Senegalese team to handle. The French team are being coached by Didier Deschamps, and Senegalese team, they are being coached by Pape Thiaw, who was the coach that took them to the AFCON in Morocco. He took over the team from Aliou Cisse, inheriting most of the defensive solidity. Most of the core of that team from Aliou Cisse are still the one who are playing for Pape Thiaw today. How do I expect the French team to line out? The French side is a very, very attacking side. They have a lot of super talented players in their attack. The current Ballon d'Or is actually a French player, Ousmane Dembele. I expect him to still come out and lead the line. I expect coach Didier Deschamps to go for a 4-2-3-1 formation. He's very used to having a double pivot, so I still expect Adrien Rabiot and Tchouaméni to play a double pivot in that midfield. I expect Mike Maignan to still be in goal, Theo Hernandez as left back, Yuskounde at right back, Upamecano and Saliba, centre back Perin, Tchouaméni and Adrien Rabiot being like a defensive cover. So Tchouaméni can be the one to sort of stay behind, while Adrien Rabiot might have the mobility to sort of move around the pitch and try to cover some grass. We could also see a case where N'Golo Kante comes in for Adrien Rabiot at some point in the game. Kylian Mbappe is going to start on the right, Kylian Mbappe on the left, Michael Olise on the right, and we're going to have Ousmane Dembele leading the line. We could also see someone like Marcus Thuram coming for Ousmane Dembele off the bench as well. Another person like Badly Bakola could also be someone to come in from the bench and be the difference maker for the French side. I expect them to be very attacking. I expect them to be very attacking while still being conscious of the danger possessed by the Senegalese team. The Senegalese team can be very, very quick on the counter with the likes of Sadio Mane and Ismail Assar. So while the French team are going to try to be attacking, make their wingers have this kind of mobility where they can alternate within themselves. I see a situation where Ousmane Dembele can alternate with Michael Olise, could alternate and switch position with Kylian Mbappe, even Ryan Cherki as well. So they are going to have that fluidity within them among those attackers to sort of switch positions and be very fluid and run at the Senegalese defense. So this is basically what I expect Didier Deschamps to do, whilst still maintaining that discipline in the middle of the park to ensure that the Senegalese players are not going to be putting balls behind them and have running straight to face their defenders. And on the other hand, for Senegal, how do I expect Pape Thiaw to line up in this game? I still expect him to also go with a 4-2-3-1 4-2-3-1 formation. I expect Edouard Mendy to be in goal. I expect Elaji Diop to be in left back, Crepin Diata, right back, Koulibaly and Niakate, centre back pairing. I expect to see Papagaye in the middle of the pack. I expect to see Lamine Camara in the middle of the pack as well, protecting the defense of Papagaye, Lamine Camara. I expect to see Sadio Mane. I expect to see Habib Diarra play, either Habib Diarra or Iliman Ndiaye, like play the attacking midfield role, and we have Ismail Assar on the right, then Nicholas Jackson to lead the line for them. The Senegalese team they are going to try to contain the French side. I think Pape Thiaw is going to ensure that the midfield pivot of Papagaye and Lamine Camara, they try to ensure that they try to crowd the midfield, like put a lot of bodies in the midfield, which is why I think this 4-2-3-1 formation by Senegal is going to morph into a 4-5-1 when they are not holding the ball. So they will need bodies in the middle of the park in such a way that they won't make the French midfielders to be able to give the ball to someone like Ryan Cherki, who can make things happen. So if they don't allow the French midfield to be able to get the ball to someone like Cherki, and they force them to play through the wings, I mean, if you can make them play through the wings and cross the ball in, then the Senegalese defenders, the Niakates, Koulibaly, they are tall, they can jump, they have the height, they can duel with the French attack and try to win the ball, then play a very fast, quick counter with the likes of Sadio Mane and Ismail Assar. So, but the danger here could be that if you force the French side to play through the wings as well, someone like Michael Olise can shoot outside the box, someone like Kylian Mbappe can also shoot outside the box. But I still see this as the best way for the Senegalese side to try to control and contain the French side. Make them play through the flanks, try to force them to put crosses in, then duel with them in the middle. I mean, Ousmane Dembele is very small foot, is very small, not so, doesn't really have that much body, and so he would have to duel with someone like Kalidou Koulibaly, who is actually a giant in defense. So this way, I think the Senegalese team can find a way to contain the French attack. But if you look at it, the French team as well, they've been conceding goals in the last set of games that they've played. So I don't see them not conceding in this game as well. I think the Senegalese team is going to get a goal. I think the French side, it will be difficult to also stop France from not scoring. The firepower in their attack is too fierce. They probably even literally have like the best attack in this coming into this competition. So France is going to score. I think Senegal is going to get a goal as well. But I think France is going to come out on top in this game, probably by not more than 1 goal margin. So I think France is going to win. Is going to get a 2-1 win against Senegal. It promises to still be an interesting game. Maybe at the end of the game, France can get their 2002 revenge against Senegal, because they've never defeated the Senegalese team in a competitive game. Although since they met in the World Cup in Korea and Japan, they've also never faced each other in a competitive encounter. So I think this is an opportunity for France to try to get their revenge and get their World Cup started on a very fresh note. We've seen really big teams stumble. I mean, look at Spain. Spain in the Spain versus Cape Verde was a game we thought, okay, Spain is just going to run them ragged and take the Cape Verde team to the cleaners. We saw Brazil even couldn't beat Morocco as well. And let's not forget, the French side also played a friendly with Ivory Coast that they lost. The Ivorians play a similar pattern of football to the Senegalese. These are guys that are very tough tackling. They are very tough tackling. They are strong. I mean, we could also say the same for the French side as well, because of the amount of black players who are playing for them, and say, okay, the French side, okay, they're also going to be tough tackling. The likes of Chouameni, Adrien Rabiot, even their centre backs as well, and Open Meccano. These are guys who are also strong, who can tackle. Someone like N'Golo Kante can run the entire field for the whole of the 90 minutes. So we'll see. It's going to be very, very fierce. It's going to be very, very physical. The Senegalese are very physical, and I expect them to try to impose their physicality on the French team, impose their physicality on the French defense. So this is the way we can get to wear them out, where they impose physicality on them, be very strong in your tackle. So this way you can sort of like get the French team to be won out as fast as you can get them to get won out in that game. So it's going to be killing contested, interesting. Both teams try to go at each other and try to get their World Cup started on a very, very good note. France, we also want to learn from what happened to Spain, against Cape Verde, and try to avoid I try to avoid not getting a win in that game, because it's really going to be very important for them to get a win against Senegal. Although one could also argue that the Senegalese game might be the toughest one for France in that group. The next they'll play Iraq, they'll play Norway. The Norwegian side as well, I mean, they are quite strong. They have a couple of players like Erling Haaland, Odegaard. These are guys who could also cause them some problems. But I think the Senegalese team, they still had much more stronger team than the Norwegian. So if France can find a way past Senegal, they can know that okay, they are home and try against either one of them, Iraq or Norway. So there you have it, guys. I would see you again, maybe in another preview, or if I get the opportunity to do a review of the game after it's been played, I'm going to do that. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Like the video, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one.